We just walked out of the movie theater. We read the book, then we watched the movie, and now we've got our reaction.
This is Readers React to Project Hail Mary, and we are so incredibly excited to dive into it. We've been wanting to watch this for a while. We read the book. If you know our channel, this is where we dive into what readers think about the movie. So let's get right into it.
So Jaden, what did you think about the movie?
I have to say it was a phenomenal movie. I thought it was really, really well done. I'm going to have a lot of thoughts about this, and that's why we're making a whole video here. But right off the bat, I want to say it was phenomenal.
I really enjoyed this movie too. It was so nice to go into the movie and enjoy a movie that felt unique and like a unique story that was so different than anything I've been seeing in the movie theaters recently.
The theater experience is great.
Yes.
For this specific movie. So I would recommend if you haven't seen it yet, you're already too far along in the video. So pause right here. But I would definitely say it's a theater watch.
Yes. Spoilers throughout for this whole thing. So watch the movie first. But I thought it was fantastic. It is a movie worth going to the theaters for again, yes, which is really great because it's been a long time since I've been wanting to go to the theaters again to see a movie. And it paid off, which was fantastic.
It absolutely did. And I think one of the things that people love on this channel, obviously, is the fact that coming from reading the book, how does that impact your rating? And one of the things we like to talk about is, would you recommend it as a reader and would you recommend it as a non-reader? So first off, as a reader, how did you feel about the movie with that context?
I will say the context gets even more deep here because Jaden recently finished the book.
Literally today.
Literally today, then walked into the theater to watch it. I finished this book several months ago, maybe even a year ago. So wow. I am less fresh on this. So Jaden is going to be more of our reader person here. But personally, I really enjoyed this as a reader. And what was fantastic about this and why it kind of is a little bit cheating of why this worked so well, because the author of this book actually, I think, was approached by the people who were going to make the movie before he even wrote the book.
Really?
And they asked him like, hey, we really enjoyed The Martian. We enjoy your work.
I was going to ask if it was because of The Martian.
Yes. And so we want to work with you to you make a book, we'll make a movie about it. And so it's basically...
Wow.
He had the power to write whatever book he wanted, and then they were going to make a movie about it. And so he wrote this book with the movie in mind.
That's super interesting because it's one of those books where if you've read it, you know that there's just a lot of inner thoughts that are written into the book.
Yes.
And that's just notoriously difficult for movies because you can't have just a general voiceover happening. There has to be some sort of like leading context for that. That surprises me to hear. I didn't know that, and it surprises me because there's so much of that you kind of have to take some liberties and shortcuts in the movie, which we're going to get into this in a second, but some of the things that I, didn't necessarily love.
Well, that's what I found so interesting because I knew that context going in. And so I was watching the movie and I was thinking this is going to be exactly like the book then because of that. But it wasn't.
It was not.
Which was cool though, because it made me feel like if you watch the movie, it is still worth reading the book.
Yeah.
Because you get tons of context still. You get more of the story. You're going to enjoy this book just as much as you would have if you hadn't seen the movie.
You probably will miss out. There's a lot of like creative tension in the book that you'll miss out on. Because like the first, whether it's the movie or the book, like wherever you get that context first, the surprises are kind of gone.
Sure.
But I think it's a good experience to read and I would recommend it. I think, and it was fun because we both took our wives to the movie, which is exciting because your wife has read it.
Yes, she has.
My wife has not. So I asked her rating on the movie and what she thought about it having not read the book.
Let me know.
Interesting.
What was it?
She loved it. And I will admit, I am, I leaned over quite a few times to be like, that's not in the book, or that's like, it would make more sense if you read the book. And I don't think she really cared, but she's a trooper. It was, for her, I think, much better of a movie than it was for me.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
She said she really loved it and kind of explained to her after like some of the things that were in the book that weren't in the movie. She's like, yeah, I think it was a better movie because they didn't.
Did she have any specific thoughts on like what worked and what didn't?
She thinks that like having a more science involved wouldn't have made it as good. I commented to her that it was like, well, it was basically Project Ryan Gosling. Like that was my kind of like. That's how I felt about it overall. That's probably if
I thought Ryan Gosling did a great job in this movie.
He did a phenomenal job, and I think he's a great actor, but I feel like they picked him as an actor and then worked their way through the script.
Yeah.
Because it really felt that way with his dynamics as an actor. It's like that's what we saw on the screen more so than him becoming Ryland Grace.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Okay.
And the biggest reason I'd give for this is in the book, when you read it, you feel like Grace is very smart.
Yeah,
You feel like he's
super
a
on top
genius. And this movie, you can tell that he's smart. And it
He was
definitely
bumbling a lot. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, but it makes it leans more into it makes him feel more like the middle school teacher than it does like actually a smart genius. Because in the book, he's coming up with all these equations and trying to solve the reason why he's here.
He's calculating tons of stuff. Yeah, exactly.
You're right. And this movie makes him feel a little bit more bumbling, but also feel like he was able to figure it out because he knows science in general. Like, I don't know. That's kind of what I felt like.
Yeah, I will say one of the things, and I'm just going to jump straight spoiler here, but it's like, it's funny when you read the book for the first time and you see like him exploring the ship and exploring the pitch, like, oh, I must understand this because I did it a bunch of times in practice. And then as you read the book, you're like, he didn't. Like, he didn't do any of this practice. It's like the first spacewalk he does, he's like, oh, I must understand this because I must have practiced it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But he didn't, but he still does a pretty good job. But he would have had no experience in that at all, which is kind of interesting when you look back on the book.
So the movie probably kind of solved that problem then, right?
Because he had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah, because it made it very clear that he knew.
I think
the
movie did that part of it better. I think the intellectual bit was missing from the movie, and that's the part that I really enjoyed and really liked. Okay, but before we move on from this, the like intellectual element of it made me critique the book a lot more than it made me critique the movie. Because some of the decisions that they made were like super analytical on one side and then like super emotional the next.
Yep.
So he's like, oh, I'm just super impatient, so I'm going to take this huge risk to run these experiments while we're in transit. We're going to do this centrifugal thing, like, even though we might not survive. In the book. Okay, even though we might not survive. And he's like, well, we could just wait 11 days and do it when we get to the ship. So it's like, no, I can't wait. I have to do it now. But then that's like, that makes no sense in the context of the mission in the book. So in the movie, they made it a little bit more understandable. And I think probably improved on that element of it. Mm-hmm. I just didn't love that he was just like flailing around the ship so much.
I know. Yeah, seriously. And I tried really hard this movie because I have a problem with reading books than going to movies, because the whole time I'm waiting for parts. I have parts in my head that I just tick off and say like, okay, this part's probably coming up next. I'm so excited to see it happen. Then when it doesn't happen, I end up being super disappointed. And so to this movie, I tried to really push that away, and it helped because I'd read the book like a year ago, that I was able to sit back and just try to enjoy it for what it was and then pick it apart and everything. Yeah. There was a part that I was looking for in this movie that I missed, and I was kind of sad about it. It wasn't a huge key part to the book or anything, but some of my favorite parts of that book were all the science and things going on Earth. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
When I think about this book, every single time there are two moments of science that I thought were absolutely jaw-dropping and cool that I was hoping that they would at least allude to in the movie. And
what are they?
Do you have guesses on what they are?
I don't, and that's why I'm trying to.
Two of them. So one is when I think they're blowing up part of like the Arctic, or one of like
they shear off the Antarctica.
Yeah. To get the methane to release to cause global warming on purpose. To keep the warming, to keep the Earth warmer because it was going to get so cold to help save people.
They kind of allude to that at the end when they're like going through like what used to be an ice shelf, and they're just like, it's all just pieces of ice now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
And I got to come back to my
little
other
Easter eggs like that happened a lot through
the
movie.
Did, and there was a few parts in there too, like where he wakes up. And when so the whole book, it starts the same way as the movie. They call it like, I think it's like a white box book is what it's called.
I've never heard that. But I get it, like you're discovering it.
Or white room. Yes. But usually they wake up in a white room. This case, they kind of did, right? And he has no memory of what's going on. Kind of like a Jason Bourne thing. He's like, I don't know who I am, why I'm so cool, stuff like that. But there's a lot of parts where we talked about earlier, he's doing all the science and everything. And they skip past all of that in the movie, which makes sense. They're trying to keep things going. But I wonder if there are extra scenes that they had filmed to make those scenes more...
I was definitely thinking that, especially at the beginning. They moved so fast through that first part, where in the book, he's discovering so much about himself and so much about the ship, the spaceship that he's on, before he even opens that hatch.
Yep.
Where it was the first thing he did. He got out of the bed and he's like up the hatch. Yeah. He's like bumbling around the ship, throwing things around. And they just had so much junk on the ship.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Why does he have all of this junk?
Yeah.
That is so not a part of what was in the book. Like random outfits and paraphernalia and things to play with and like all this just junk stuff.
Well, they would have had some things like
they had their personal effects bags.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was like one duffel, not like multiple rooms full of junk that he was able to just play with for the first little bit. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, he spends a lot of time learning about the ship. Yep. But he never had that experience.
And it did make me wonder, because this is why we started this in the first place, is like, I wonder if they had those scenes and they just cut them out and said like, okay, we've got to make this movie move faster. Yep. We're going to cut these parts out. So this first scene just goes boom, boom, boom. Or they could have planned it that way. Who knows? But
I would definitely lean toward they probably had those scenes filmed. And then in like test viewers, they were like, it's too slow. Like they don't get the beginning of it. Yeah. People's attention spans these days, what are you going to do?
Yeah. So anyways, the second one was when they take the entire Sahara Desert and turn it into a gigantic solar like panel.
That is,
how cool was that?
A third of the Sahara, like trillions of panels that they just, that was a huge element of like, and the effect that had on the environment. Like, you can't just pave the Sahara and expect there not to be bad things happening.
Yeah, but they did it because they had to save the planet and save everyone.
I loved one of the things I loved from the book on Earth was that like there's the power that they wielded. And like they kind of the only real power that they showed on this was like they just bought whatever they wanted from Home Depot.
Yeah, it's like for real.
In the actual movie, they're like requisitioning stuff, and they're like, you need a jet, you got a jet. Like you need like whatever you need. It doesn't really matter. No one's even like tabulating the bill. Like no one even cares what things cost. We're just doing stuff and taking whatever we want to get it done. Yeah, it's just such a cool like humanity working on the problem.
Yep, that is the part that I wish that they had more of, because that's one of the things that I loved most about The Martian is because the whole time you feel like you're on Earth cheering for Martian.
you're on that team.
Yes, and you get to see the whole world working together and cheering and like all these exciting moments. And they do have some of that in Project Hail Mary in the book, and you feel those moments. But the movie did not really cover those moments.
No,
it just more talked about here's his backstory and how he kind of got here.
Yeah. And it does I think a pretty good job with the flashbacks overall though.
They did, and they did them right.
This was something and I was like, you could really screw that up. But they had good break points for when the flashbacks started. Mm-hmm. Good content in them. I think they tried their best to create backstory characters for these like the crew members and all that stuff. The only way that could be better is really in the book. I think they did this as well as they could have. Mm-hmm. And like, how can you explain all these characters while all this stuff is happening completely separate from them? But I mean, if that's something that you like, you should definitely read the book because you get a lot more about who they are, why they're on the team, their interactions, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I thought that was.
I missed that a little bit.
I know. It was so fun to see. Like, yeah.
But I want to talk about some of the things that I loved because it was a movie. That I wasn't gonna get out of the book that I think that they absolutely nailed. One of the like best moments of this entire movie for me, the whole thing, if I could just say my favorite part, was on Adrian and in the Petrova line. Like those visuals were incredible.
I know.
They were so good. Like I think back to like visuals in Dune, visuals in Interstellar, and I think this might have been better. Those visuals I think were just incredible.
It's definitely up there.
I'm putting it at the top. They were so good.
It was
like
really good.
The immensity, the planet, the uniqueness, and like when he like closes his eyes and it's just he's in the Petrova line and it's all happening around him and the waves. It's just so cool. And that's probably better than I even imagined it in the books. So
how can you imagine something like that?
Epic. It was so epic.
Like, yeah, that's amazing. I with imagining things from the book, I think they nailed Rocky.
They did it, yeah. But that's like exactly what you picture.
Honestly, I was expecting a lot bigger of like a little spider rock creature. Were you thinking about that size?
I think that's what he says.
He probably does. I didn't, for some reason, thought it was huge.
Like, I think he mentions the relative size that he's quite small.
Yeah, he probably does. And actually, it's probably because of the gravity now, if I remember right. Because the gravity was.
But
so
he's
heavy
still like 400 pounds if he was on Earth. Yeah.
So, but anyways, I thought the way that they pulled him off was really well. Some of the best like non-human alien looking thing I've ever seen pulled off. Like, because you could make that really odd looking and
it wasn't creepy. Like they could have gone in so many different directions because there's not a ton of description on what he looks like. And other than the quick jump scare
Yeah.
of meeting the alien for the first time. They didn't make him creepy. They made him fun with the voice and all that stuff. I think they did a really good job. I think overall, I was kind of expecting overall size and like mannerisms. Yes, I wish they had time, I guess, to go into more about the Iridians. I don't know. Like, again, it's just like you're pressed for time. You have to cut stuff out. They cut out much more important things than this, so I guess this was probably first on the chopping block.
So Malia mentioned, and you'd have to remind me of this, did they change the name of his planet? Was it like the
They didn't name it at all. So Iridian is his star.
She said that it was like the tri-planet or something like that.
So he calls it Planet 3. Rocky calls it Planet 3.
Okay,
and then Ryland or Grace calls it 3 World.
3 World, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to Rocky, it's Planet 3, but then he's like, that's a dumb name, so he's going to name it 3 World. But in the movie, I don't think they said its name at all.
I think they
just keep saying his home world.
They called
his
it
home
something.
planet, back to Rocky's planet.
It wasn't 3 World, though.
I don't think they called it anything. Unless they maybe called it Aridiny 3.
It was Aridiny, I'm pretty sure.
Because Aridiny's his star. That's the crazy thing. Like,
I can't
ours
remember.
is Sol, theirs is Aridiny.
You might be right. Maybe that's what I saw.
That was one thing I feel like I'm trying to remember. Now I'm questioning myself. We just came out of the movie. If you remember, please let me know. It's going to bother me.
I know.
So comment if you remember whether they named it at all. But it definitely wasn't 3 World. I did not hear 3 World once. But that's what he says in the book.
Oh, yeah. Other people that they nailed, I think, was Strat. I was really impressed. I was questionable when I saw the trailer for Strat. Because Strat, in my mind, is Edna Mode from The Incredibles. The way that she talks, her mannerisms, her like doesn't take crap, everything.
Did you do physical book or audiobook for this one?
Audio. Did you do physical?
No, I did audio as well, and I did not like the voice of Strat at all.
Oh, really?
So I think Strat was better in the movie.
Okay. But anyways, I was expecting her to look like and act like Edna Mode, but she did awesome in the movie and everything. I loved her acting and everything too. But I shouldn't be going into like what I thought about the audiobook.
We'll have that video come out later.
We'll have that one later.
That will happen. But I think that was a pleasant surprise for me as well. Strat, I feel like, was better than the audiobooks portrayed her to be, if that's fair.
What did you think about the parts that they added to the movie? Did you catch that? So I'll give you an example. I am fairly positive he never went onto Rocky's ship in the book.
Definitely not.
Okay, cool. I was like, I thought you were about to say he definitely did. I was like, oh shoot.
He 100% does not. I leave over life that never happened.
Yep.
The other one that I was thinking of when you were gonna mention it was the fact that like he had to get Rocky back into his zone.
That's what I thought too. I was kind of like remembering
and Rocky didn't
that.
just get himself back into his place and like slowly, because in the movie he just had to wait. Like Rocky's solved his own problems and he just had to wait. But in the book,
he has
to leave. Well, he almost kills him.
Yeah.
But he has to like lift him back into his zone, patch it up as best he can, and then he modifies the airlock. It takes him 2 days to get Rocky back into his zone.
Yep.
So he thinks he's dead for sure.
Yep.
And he like goes in, makes this contraption.
And you think he's dead in the book too. Like he's super dead in the book.
But in the movie, it's just like he just had to wait. And I guess technically in the book he just waited because his body healed itself, but he definitely put a lot of effort into like burned his whole arm because he had to touch all the ammonia and the superheated air.
Yeah.
Like, had to get medical attention after that. It was interesting. But that was, I think, a difference as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But the ship was like, they just invented what the ship looked like.
Well, honestly,
it's
though,
not even in the book.
I know, but I see why they did it. It was, I think, to make the point that so you could see the material that a ship was made out of. So you could say, okay, that's how the Talmiba is going to get through. Yes.
Yeah.
Everything. That's what I thought, like why they threw that in there is to try and get that more continuity for the viewer.
And that makes sense. And because you don't have as much of an experience to show like how different they truly are. Like you never realize that because his air is 29 times denser, like the more pressure, 29 times more pressure than Earth. So like there's no way he would survive. You don't get to learn that like their blood is mercury. Like you never learn all these things.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of like, how different are they? Well, look at this crazy shit they live on.
Grace says at one point during the movie, he's like, yeah, and it got through. His whole ship is made out of like the stuff that he get through. Yeah. But that would not make sense for him to say unless he had like seen that. I mean, he could say that, but it just makes more sense for the viewer. So I think that's why they put that scene.
And when they were talking about exchanging gifts at the end in the book, he's like, I want xenonite.
Yeah.
But in the movie, he's like, I want to go on your ship.
Yeah. Yep. You're like, okay, cool. Yep. And then the other part that was different too was that you actually got to see the results of on Earth, which was very cool, because in the book that is lacking. Like, you don't get to see any of it, right? And I actually really loved that addition to the movie, to see like, oh, she got it, and the fact that Strat is old because of time relativity.
What, 26 years at least?
It's because of like relativity.
You know, I will say, this is okay. Maybe a side note, and I don't want to go too long with this, but
do you still not believe in relativity after reading the book?
No.
You still do not?
No, I'm saying I do now.
Oh, okay, good.
I did a long, deep dive. Claude and I worked through this line by line, equation by equation, and I now understand it better.
Yeah.
Still crazy.
It's still probably
I get it.
Literally blows your mind. Like, it's hard to wrap your mind around that.
Yeah.
I did not believe it before this, but like reading the book is when like I really started understanding it. And wow, this is like a real thing. Like, and time can go faster for someone than
that's going to be a separate video, because that we don't want to.
Well, I'm just saying, but that's why Strat was old.
No,
like,
totally. And they explain it a ton in the book as well. They talk about time dilation a ton, and that's why Rocky has so much fuel on his ship, is because it was so much faster of a journey than they expected because of the time dilation.
That's right. Yeah. Holy cow. Anyway, I forgot about that part.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was really cool. Okay. The other big thing that was not in the movie that I was looking for is they did go through how the Talmiba ate all of the astrophage.
Yes.
But the movie, I was expecting the movie to go really deep into this, because the book went really long and deep into this.
Yeah.
He is basically cleaning up Talmiba poop, like, throughout an entire ship, like
all the fuel tanks,
like, and literally Talmiba poop, because like it was eating like all the astrophage, and he has to scoop it out so he can put more astrophage in there to refuel his rocket.
And just how dangerous it was, and how like infectious it was, and the fact that it ate all of his fuel, so they were stuck in Adrian's orbit.
Yeah.
The only way they got out is because they like retrofitted the Beetles to serve as like makeshift engines to get out of there, because they were stuck.
Yeah, that's right.
But they just like boosted out of there. It was fine. It was no big deal.
Yep.
But that was a huge problem.
Was Rocky stuck with him at the moment?
Yeah.
I forgot.
They were stuck on his ship in Adrian, and they had to make all this stuff so that
on Grace's
back.
ship. Yeah.
On Grace's ship.
Yep.
The Hail Mary. And they came back, and then they had these more problems, and then every time they did these breeding things, like that breeding experience took them a really long time.
Yes.
Like, they worked a ton on that, and I think that's just something that was totally like, anyway, while you were sleeping, I did all this breeding and did all this experiments, and anyway, we have this Talmiba that can withstand nitrogen, which is like, well, why was that a problem before? Like, you didn't even get any of that.
Well, they moved so quickly through it that like the end of the movie just came. I was like surprised that the movie was ending all of a sudden. I'm like, whoa, like
okay, we're cruising through it.
They went right through it. But honestly, I thought that was okay. Because that one of the things that I thought was right about this is it felt the same as I got the same feeling reading the book as I watched the movie. Yeah. Which, this is going to sound like a negative review, but it isn't. Like, but the movie and the book, I mean, focuses so much on like the experience of just like having a feel-good experience of like, we're going to conquer this and get through these experiences together. But it's not like this adrenaline pumping story the entire time. Yeah. And the book kind of feels like it drags on because of that. And the movie felt the same way with me. Like, okay, the same exact experience for me. I had the same feeling as I walked out of the movie as I did with the book. And I was glad that they cut out some of that at the end, because if you made it any longer, I think you were going to lose some of your audience.
Because it would have been a 3-hour movie at least.
Yes.
So they had to.
And people were like, okay, we get it. You run into problems, you fix them, and then we move on. And that can only happen so many times in a movie before people like, okay, we get it.
And it is similar to The Martian in that it is a movie of constant problem solving.
Yes.
It's a book of constant problem solving. And I wonder if that was part of the context, is like something always goes wrong. But I think what I loved about it, even in contrast to like a Star Wars, is they did such a good job of the space element and why things are so hard in space.
Yeah.
Like, they had to find a way to make a centripetal force so they could actually do experiments. They couldn't do the experiments unless they had things open, and they couldn't get things open because of the different like G forces and all this stuff. They did a really good job of explaining those concepts in the book and making it very realistic. Like, it's just like you're almost dead at any given point when you're in space.
Yeah, this is definitely a thinking person's story, which is really fun. And
a
fun.
lot
That's
of those
why
things
you read
they,
and watch
yeah.
these things for.
A lot of things they put into the movie as peripherals. So if you had read the book, you'd be like, I know why that's on that screen, or I know why he wrote that on his whiteboard. Even though it's not talked about, you're like, I see what he did there. I think they did a fairly good job of making those nods to the people who read the book, because it would have been something that I had to intentionally add just for people who knew that context that would have been completely missed by people that didn't.
Yep, I 100% agree. Okay, any other thoughts before we get to our final rating?
I'm ready to rate.
Okay, so what do you give for your final rating of
My final rating for Project Hail Mary, the movie, was 8.1.
8.1.
And that maybe sounds low to people if you're new to the channel.
8.1 sounds pretty
it's
good
actually
to me.
quite high for a movie review that I've given. The only things that knocked it down for me is I would have loved to have more of the science, like more like the Martian level scientific problem solving than like, I don't know, we'll just try random stuff and then Rocky kind of solves the problems for him. I feel like that could have been more interesting. But I mean, easily in the 8s with just the visual impact of it. It was great.
Rocky does seem smarter than him, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and he will say that Rocky is smarter than him in many areas. But
and Rocky would probably say the same about Grace.
Because he just doesn't have any of that science experience. And like you're going back and forth on like the science versus the mechanical skill set. Anyway,
True.
I think an 8.1 is a great rating for this movie.
I think so too. I would give this movie an 8.0.
Oh.
Yes. So
I'm surprised that you went lower than me. I was
really?
honestly thinking you were going to go higher.
You thought I was going to be higher?
Yeah,
wow. Holy cow. No, this was really good. I really enjoyed the movie. This is one of those movies though that I think I only watch once and then I'm good. And it's because I don't think it has a lot of rewatchability. And that's because it's such a slow-paced movie. You kind of get it once you watch it.
It's like a problem solution.
Like, whereas Interstellar, like, we're going to compare space movies now. Like, that's like a whole...
what one does.
Yeah, that's what one does when you watch a space movie. But it's... Interstellar is much more of like a story and like the drama of it all and everything. And this is just like a feel-good, like... problem-solving movie.
Interesting, because they could have put more drama in it.
I know.
Like, there was a lot of drama in the book.
I will say, I did not know, like, I didn't know that all of his books were going to be like this, of like, or I guess all of them, The Martian and then this one.
Both.
Of just like, saying like, okay, we're going to go do feel good, solve problem stories, because the whole time I was waiting for Rocky to stab him in the back in the book. And I'm like, there's something fishy about like this guy. I'm like, yeah, why is all of his crewmates dead? How funny.
And like he was just waiting there in space.
Exactly. I'm like, this is perfect for him to turn on him. That's the kind of books I read usually. And so I was expecting that the entire book.
That would have been insane.
It would have been great, wouldn't it? That's a rereadable book. Like,
that could have been really good.
It could have been really
good.
Could
have been the craziest twist, because like how do you like battle an alien? Like,
yeah,
we never got to see that element.
Well,
of it.
and the thing is like why Rocky's sitting there and why he's doing this is like, okay, maybe you could even go down the route of his crewmates all died. He ran out of fuel, and so he was waiting for someone, and he saw an opportunity to steal his fuel.
So he's like trying to make friends so he can learn the ship and where the fuel is at, and like.
Yeah.
Maybe we just fan fiction this thing.
Fan fiction. Make this story about a wonderful feel-good story into a story about greed and competition to destroy other people for your own good.
Yes. Yeah, we could do it.
I love those stories. They're so good.
That's a really interesting take, though, on it. I asked my wife her rating as well, so we can put that in. She rated it an 8.4.
Wow.
So higher than me and higher than you as well.
Yeah.
And I think one of those reasons is there's like so much context taken out that it's easier to watch this movie and it's faster, just like we were saying.
They did a great job with that. And I will say the visuals were fantastic. Mm-hmm. The music was fantastic as well.
Music was quite good.
I loved it. I waited at the end
Not
of the credits.
Not as much original music, though, I felt like. Am I wrong?
I
feel like they brought in a lot of regular songs.
Oh, I'm not talking about the regular song. I'm talking like the score.
Yeah.
Like which... that had to have been original. The score that
yes, but there wasn't as much original score because there's no pop music in Dune.
No.
So it's like that there was a mixture as well.
Yeah. I loved the score of the movie, and I liked it so much. You were probably wondering like why I was just still sitting there after the credits, because I was
wondering that.
I know, because everyone was kind of like starting to stand up around me, and I'm like, I have to see who this composer is because I want to see if I know the name. And so I was waiting for it to appear, and like I don't have it off the top of my head because I didn't recognize it. But I'm like, that's what I'm writing down and adding to my movie music playlist.
I'm excited for you to upload the playlist so I can just get the updates.
There you go.
I appreciate that.
There you go.
Because I was like, why is he sitting like? like, this is where the book ends. They didn't just add more content to the end of the credits. Like, there's no way.
I'm waiting for the ending credit scenes.
That's the end of the book.
When all the students attack him for his fuel.
That was my last thing with the students, the like Iridian students, was like, he plays their notes on an organ.
Oh yeah.
And that's so cool. He communicates, but he makes all the sounds.
Yep.
Instead of just like turning on a computer and having the computer do it. Anyway, that's the
I thought it did work better in the book, that ending, than it did in the movie. I really liked because in the book, all you read is like he walks into his classroom and then you see a lot of Iridian hands raised. Like that's it. It's the same thing as the movie, but it looks better in your mind. Like,
it does. I think so. That's one of those that I think that did a better job in the book. But anyway, first of all, one of the best things about this is you all need to put your ratings in the comment section. Let us know if we're wrong about the rating of the movie, what you thought about it, parts you liked, parts you didn't like, what was in the movie, all the things that we got wrong about the movie. Yeah, bring it on. We love to read these comments, and it's super fun to engage with them. If you like this type of content, you like these type of reviews, and you want to see our Project Hail Mary book review, which will come out soon, let us know. Subscribe to the channel because that's where these conversations happen. And we'll see you in the next chapter.